Guys, welcome to the Scully Sez podcast. Today we are going to do a brief quiz, which I will probably fail during, and then we're going to talk about some of the current candidates for the upcoming election in 2028.
Yeah. All right. Well, here. So let me see. A U.S. Attorney's Office headed by Janine Pirro sent subpoenas to big banks seeking information on whether they did what? Did they have forbidden dealings with Iran? Did they have closed customer accounts for political reasons? Did they fail to maintain adequate capital, or did they use barred racial preferences in hiring?
Oh man, that was one I could have seen in all of the above being the final answer for. I think because it's topical, I'm going to go with the Iran answer.
Well, again, you'd be wrong. Again, you'd be wrong, sir. And so this is closed customer accounts for political reasons, don't you see?
So I'm assuming what that means is accounts for political, like it was U.S. aid or whatever, but they just like weren't audited or weren't shown on audit sheets and stuff.
I would think it's more like you didn't know who it was, and so you know, you had Joe Blow, who was a tremendous Democratic candidate, but he was contributing to Trump, that type of thing. You see,
Gotcha.
or vice versa. That's
Yep.
my guess, but maybe not. Now, Uncle Sam sold an old building in Washington for a reported $80 million. Was that the Capitol, Union Station, the Rayburn House Office, or the former old post office?
Oh man, this is tough because Union Station seems like it would make some sense, obviously, to privatize a little bit, but I think it's the post office because last I was there was not much post office left.
So is that your final answer, sir?
Yeah, I'll go with that one.
You'd be correct on that one. You would be correct.
Yeah, it was like a full mall, and then there was like a big tower in it, and they were like, "Oh, like this was the old post office." I was like, "You could have fooled me."
Well, the most formidable or the most impressive post office that I've ever seen is in Chicago.
The Ohio Street one or Dearborn Street?
No, it would be this little street called Congress. It
Yeah.
spanned all the way across Congress. It was
Yeah, the big sorting facility.
yeah, huge.
Yeah.
It was huge. And so anyway, I think that they've tried to sell that a number of times. I don't know if they've ever sold it, but for millions and millions, of course. And they were going to put all sorts of stuff in there. I don't know.
I think like an Amazon or someone is the perfect place to buy something like that, but I don't know if they even want the old infrastructure anymore.
Yeah, no, I think it basically what you do is you would it would be more of a great place for something like the merchandise mall, you know. You'd have yeah, you'd have furniture places in there, you'd have department stores in there.
You just have to make brick and mortar make sense is the problem, you know,
Yes.
of course.
Mhm.
But I mean, you know, I don't know. I think some people are coming back to going to stores and stuff. Anyways, what was the next question?
Yes, and so the first guidelines were ever issued for cardiovascular kidney metabolic syndrome. Per a 2024 study, how many Americans met the criteria for CKM? I would say that would be chronic kidney metabolic dysfunction. Chronic kidney, that's a
And it's
key
a
word.
percent it's looking for?
Yes, would it be 10, 20, 30, or 90?
People who have it.
Yes, the guidelines. How many met the criteria?
30.
That would be 90%, sir. 90%. So you check your kidneys out, okay?
Oh yeah.
And that means more than just tapping a kidney occasionally. And so an AI investor, Leopold Aschenbrenner, has a cult following online. Name his hedge fund. Is it artificial sweetener, classified intelligence, competitive advantage, situational awareness?
Competitive advantage.
No, it's situational awareness.
Ah. Those are the only two that I had ever heard as a company name before.
Okay, so there was something about platinum, but that'd be too easy. Asking about what state that would be in, so that'd be too
What,
easy.
platinum? The metal?
Platinum,
Oh, oh.
Graham Platinum. You remember the guy with the Nazi tattoo on his chest or what? Which left-leaning city just rejected a tax hike for firms with highly paid executives? Would that be San Jose, San Francisco, San Antonio, or Sao Paulo?
Oh. Okay. That's another one I'm gonna give two answers for, but I'll stick with San Francisco, but I think the last one, Palo Alto or whatever it was.
No, it's San Francisco, sir.
It is San Francisco.
Yes.
I
So,
knew it was going to be one of those two. The only other one I could have thought was the reason I thought Palo Alto is because that's Valley, I think. So all the tech executives are there, but San Francisco makes total sense for the same reason.
okay, so it rejected a tax hike for firms. So, in some respects, you would think that that came as a surprise, but of course, San Francisco has a lot of high tech people,
Yeah.
high tech, and so they may be liberal, but they're making a lot of what they call moolah, making a lot of money. So even though they're into giving away money, not their money, you see, somebody's money, but not their money.
Well, remember also in San Francisco, they just blocked a multi-unit, massive apartment building that was going to be on the water, which, honestly, I don't love an apartment building near where I live, but when you live in a city, it's pretty inevitable, and they blocked it, and it would have contributed, like, I think it was something like 90% more property taxes than the homes that are there right now. So they have some interesting values over there.
Was it low cost or was it high cost?
High cost. It wasn't even like a low income neighborhood or something. It was like expensive apartments. A million a pop, I think, or something for the apartments.
Oh well. Well, okay. Well, so let me see. We got a whole bunch of this stuff. I think this is. Let me ask you this. Andy Burnham. You know who Andy Burnham is? Well, he took office as Britain's prime minister. Including him, how many prime ministers have the country had since 2016? 5, 7, 8, or 9?
This person is the eighth. Now, I feel like it was 7.
Yes. I'm going to let you go at 7. How many non-citizens were erroneously registered to vote in New Jersey? 600, 6,600, 66,000, 666,000.
66,000.
No, just 6,000.
Really?
So, yeah.
Okay, that's not that bad.
No, it wasn't that bad. Actually, it was, of course, if you have 6,000 aliens that are registered, that's not good, but it's better than I thought.
Sure.
Costco is going to have some standalone outlets. Are they hearing aid centers, hot dog stands, mortuaries, or gas stations?
Gas station's the only normal answer of those.
That is correct, sir. That is correct. And
although the Vision Center, I could see something like that, of course, but
they do have vision centers in there, and
they're just in there, yeah, by the counter or by the registers or whatever.
Yes. Now, okay, and let me see. Do we have anything else that might stump you? In Lake Tahoe, around the country, one type of bear is growing in numbers and is very dangerous. Is it the grizzly, the brown, the black, or the Chicago?
Well, the Chicago bear is growing. It's dangerous. It is a threat to every state that has a football team. That said, it's the black bear, I think.
It is the black bear, and
they're in Ohio now, too, which is rare. They're reclaiming their territory.
But I do disagree with you, sir. The Chicago Bears are a threat to nobody.
That's not true. They're good this year.
Oh, is that right?
Caleb Williams is the truth. Totally the truth.
Oh,
Oh man, the Chicago Bears are so good, and they have what's his face? Colson Loveland. He's, I believe, a real good tight end, and then I can't remember the name of the wide receiver off the top of my head. He's got a really weird name, but they have a new wide receiver that's Luther Burden, I believe is his name.
Okay, so you.
Cool name, right? Luther Burden. That's a good one.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, Luther, I suppose Luther's cool. There's a lot of Luthers in history. All right, so we've gone through that, have we, sir? So here is, and you can comment on this, but I'm I'm looking at some of these candidates that are running for office, and some of the people that are currently on Trump's um, um, cabinet. And it seems to me, and this is probably a prejudice on my part, but you want somebody that has done something on these positions. And so you because you have to, if you're going to govern, you have to deal with a lot of money, you have to deal with a lot of people, you have to deal with a lot of organization. And so hopefully you've done some of that in the past. So you've got a guy like the head of Social Security is a guy by the name of Basigno, who's a billionaire. And Basigno, he worked this place called First Check, or First whatever, and it was like a credit card place that dealt with it on telephone, and made $1 million anyway. So he was a guy. Another guy that had some background like that would be Ludnick, and another guy is I'm trying to think of who is the Besant, who's the head of the Treasury. So those are the people. I have a prejudice thinking that, and in fact they've said this before, that actually some of the best candidates for something like president are people, if they don't have any kind of background, corporate background, they would be well served to be a governor, because a governor, a
Like a
governor.
small scale president in a way.
Exactly. Okay.
I mean, not even in a way. Like if you're the governor of, and I hate to give this guy any flowers, but if you're the governor of like California, you're more prepared than pretty much almost any other state's governor to run the nation in a way, right? Because you're getting such a diverse amount of economy, like industry, literal like the people there, you know what I mean? And you're like also dealing with border security on a state level,
Yes.
like they could that governor's a good litmus test, I feel.
Yes. Well, you would hope that,
You would hope that,
although
right.
I was going to say, showing my prejudice again, but I cannot think of anybody that has bungled a governorship worse than a guy by the name of Newsom.
Newscomb, yeah, he's not very good.
And I know that he's constantly running around trying to promote himself. And I don't know if he ever does anything gubernatorial, but he seems to be on all kinds of podcasts and all kinds of shows trying to promote himself for the future, I suppose.
Well, people are still starting to come around and realize that Trump's not always right, certainly, but people are starting to realize that he was not really lying about the idea of there being a massive reservoir that California could have diverted water flow from to like help with the Palisades fires and things like that. I think people are starting to like wake up to the reality that that's true. That is not like a hoax, a Republican hoax, or a gotcha or anything. You know what I mean? Like that is really true. That is absolutely a real thing that he bungled.
Yeah, well, not only him, but the same thing with Bass. But of course, unfortunately, the one guy whose house burned down was in the Palisades and was talking about that. He was the one guy that did not get on the ticket.
Right.
Yeah. So
Of course.
yeah. So I don't know whether they've come around or not. I tend to think that they've not come around, in spite of how obvious it is that the thing was mismanaged, and so anyway, that's where we got with California, and that the other guy I think that might be the real uh, the next possible candidate would be Shapiro. Shapiro out of Pennsylvania. He seems to be somewhere in the middle, and I don't know. I don't think that his I think his background is totally governmental. I don't. Was that your wake up call?
Thought I silenced my phone and then it went off again.
It's
I was
all.
like, "Come
It's
on."
all right. No, yeah, it's all right. So
I hate
so
when that happens.
I know. So what do you have an opinion on Mr. Shapiro?
Not much. I mean, he Pennsylvania seems to be a relatively well-run state. I mean, there's definitely not unlike the Midwest state I call home or the one you call home. There's definitely
Yes.
issues, of course. Like we definitely have stuff that could be better. But I think that Pennsylvania is pretty good at bringing industry. It's pretty good at making sure its constituents feel like represented, like people have like actual pride for their state, and all of those things do matter, even though they're kind of intangibles when you're like just the governor for a couple of years or whatever. But I mean, I would say that I always, whenever I see a new candidate, I just want to know the track record. That's why Kamala was so bad because I the track record was bad. Like the track record wasn't good things. It wasn't things that I cared about or I valued, right? And so like him, I don't know enough about. I'm sure I'll get to know him very intimately over the next year and a half as this election cycle starts to ramp up. But I mean, I think at the end of the day, like when you look at the polls right now, it's Vance, Rubio, Buttigieg, and Newsom. You know what I mean? It's gonna be between those four, I think, probably. Just because that like Rubio, I think Rubio runs away with the Republican nomination. I think that Vance is unfortunately just a little bit too in bed with the tech oligarchy, the Peter Thiels and Musks and people like that. And I think that as time goes on, people are gonna like kind of get more and more and more over that stuff. I mean, you saw it with Elon. Even people on the right started to reject him. I mean, he was in for what, 3 or 4 months maybe in the government, and people started to really freak out, reject him. His stock prices were falling. It was adversely affecting all of his business and everything. So I feel like people are starting to get over these ideas of these guys that like think they're like like Tony Stark or something, and they can just like throw money around and do whatever they want. So I think that the idea that he's a plant of them is gonna hurt him really bad, especially when like people like Rubio start to turn on him and talk about that stuff a little bit more. And then Buttigieg, I don't know how anyone is voting for him over Newsom. Not that Newsom's better than him, but like Newsom's at least like on a debate stage. I could see Newsom dealing with Rubio and Vance in a pretty, in a manner that looks good to the people who like what he's saying. You know?
Uh, oh yeah. Well, I suppose here's the thing with Newsom. Newsom, he was interviewed, and his big thing was, "I'm pretty stupid, and you're pretty stupid too, and so you're stupid enough to vote for me because we're both stupid, and we'll cancel each other out." That was kind of that was kind of what his that was his that was kind of what he said. Said he couldn't read right, he didn't do well in school, and he has to be coached, and he's just as dumb as you are, and so that you got to vote for him. That was his. Whereas Buttigieg has excellent qualifications. He's a Rhodes Scholar, and he always did very, very well academically. The problem with Buttigieg, in my mind, is he's not a serious person. He's kind of an academic, they call him Pothole Pete, not without reason. But setting that aside, you had a catastrophe in Ohio. You remember that catastrophe where the train we had there?
Yes, Liberty, yeah.
There you go. And he didn't bother showing up. Now I think Trump showed up.
Yeah.
Trump had no business being there. Trump came down there and showed up. He said, "Hey, I'm."
It may have been East Palestine. I'll look it up. But anyway, sorry.
Yes, and he came up and said, that, I'm concerned about it. Buttigieg never
It was
showed
East
up.
Palestine.
I don't think he ever showed up. If he did, it was very, very, very late in the game. And so we have that. And then again, we have, I think I've talked about this before, we had Buttigieg taking maternity leave. I
He
mean,
he he did end up visiting the site on February 23rd, 2023. That's 3 weeks after the accident.
yeah, yes. Well,
And that was after Trump went. He did apologize and acknowledge that he did not do a good job there, which is good at
yes.
least. You do appreciate someone who is going to be, humble in defeat.
Well, yes and no. I mean, it's sort of like you're a policeman and you're guarding somebody, and that person gets killed. And then you say, well, I'm very sorry for what happened. I'm very, very sorry. Please forgive me. And I'll
That
be
would be a
right.
great comfort to those who've
Yes,
lost.
yes. I'll be running for police commissioner next month. So I appreciate your vote. So we have that. And so, but I could see him as president, you see, adopting somebody else and then taking and needed a couple months off from his presidency so that he could bond with the new baby, don't you see?
Right.
He's so he's that's his track record, but he is doing pretty well in the polls right now.
Yeah, he
So
is. He's been pulling steady. Newsom had a big lead on him right at the
yes,
jump. But
yes.
he's been pulling steady. He's 2 points higher than Newsom currently at the moment.
And I think
Um,
Kamala is still in the running. Kamala is still there.
she is, but she's behind John Ossoff, who this most recently just pulled really high. He
Oh,
pulled 13%. AOC ties him at 13%. Josh Shapiro dropped from 10% to 5%. And then Kamala's at 8% higher than Shapiro, but not with the same peak. And Uh, I think I've said it since last year, since this time last year. I think the best, if you're gonna put someone up that really makes like left people feel like they've got someone like really strong and who's like fighting for them and who's gonna argue their points really well, AOC is the slam dunk. If you can get her to back off some of the more divisive leftist topics, and you could get her to kind of like focus stronger on her like social stuff that she's worried about, I think she would be really, really strong. I mean, she's the type of person that, like her or hate her, I mean, if you remember her run, it wasn't like easily won. I think she was battling an incumbent, and it was been their district for many, many years, and it was not easy. It was not an easy run, and she's more close to me and you than a lot of the other candidates in a way.
yes. The other candidate, I can't remember his name, Buchanan or something like that. He had been around forever, just been around forever, and he didn't bother campaigning. He did nothing,
Yep.
and so she came in and she. But here's my problem with her. You're hopeful that that person has some type of experience that would give them the ability to run different departments, to figure out what budgets were, to negotiate foreign affairs. And when you get down to it, what you have is a barista. That's what you have. You have a barista that was they. I can't remember exactly how it was
I think
done.
bartender is what she was doing, not coffee. I think she was doing bartending,
Okay.
but
Yes.
not same difference, similar vocation. Just
Yeah. Yes. Well, and so I was trying to make it sound a little bit classy, but anyway, there she was, and so but so the point is, now if somebody came in and they said that they wanted to work in in an office as say a paralegal or as a an administrative assistant, and you say to them, "Well, can you type?" "Oh no, no." "Take any shorthand?" "No." "How about the computers? You doing it?" "No, I use a pad and pencil. I don't know anything about computers." The question would be, would you hire that person? And you say, well, no, the person has no qualifications for the job. I mean, you have certain qualifications. I mean, if you're going to work in an office, you have to be able to type. You have to know something about the computer. Now, you have you have this person who's a bartender, and this is one of the things that kind of is concerning to me. You have a person who's a bartender, and she wins an election, and you
Yeah,
say,
I looked into it briefly because I remembered it being contentious. So she beat Joe Crowley, who was a 10-term incumbent,
yes,
and he was the chair of the House Democratic Caucus.
yes,
So and she whooped him pretty bad, 56.7% to 43.2%. Um, she kind of whooped him pretty bad, but she's been rep for 8 years now.
oh
That was
yes,
2018.
oh yes, no, and of course, the people had not run against him, but during that period of time, and she had there was a group of people. Uh, I don't know who they were, but I remember they did like a study group, and they looked at that particular district. And Crawley, I don't know what his ethnicity is. It sounds kind of Irish or English or something like that.
To me, yeah.
And so you have the ethnicity of the district has changed. And so it's largely, from what I understand, it's largely Hispanic or largely Puerto Rican. And so,
Ocasio-Cortez plays better, obviously.
yes, yes, exactly. And so he had been around for 10 terms, and like many other people, he just said, I've been there for 10 years. I will, I just cruise by. And so he didn't bother doing anything. I think that had he gone out, and talked with some of these people and told them some of the things that he might be able to do, it might have turned out a little bit different, or at least been closer. But he didn't. And so that's what it
Well,
is.
yeah, and the problem is that you kind of nailed it. Yeah, he's Irish. He's an Irish American. He's from Woodside, Queens, originally born
Yes.
there. And first generation. Um, his dad served in the army during the Korean War and became a lawyer and police department detective. Um, he kind of just like he basically entrenched New York government guy, kind of like family all worked somewhat government. He had a uncle who was Walter Crawley, who was a New York City councilman.
Mm-hmm.
He has a park named after him in Elmhurst, Queens. But yeah, he definitely, you're absolutely right. He didn't do probably exactly where he failed, is not doing a good enough job of explaining that he was also from Queens.
Yes.
Like sometimes that, even though you could say it as many times as you want, but like to go up to the people, the constituents, the little Latin kid, and be like, hey, you know, I know where you're from because I'm also from here. That buys a lot of goodwill with those communities, and he probably didn't
Yes.
do a good enough job doing that because
Well,
it was also 2018. It was before, it was Trump. It was only in for 2 years. We were not at the idea of like social media politicians really yet. You know what I mean? We weren't quite there yet.
no, and I think that I don't think that she was really native to that area. I think she moved into the area. She grew up in around the sushi area, and I think maybe a couple of years ahead of time she moved into that area.
She's from
Uh,
Parkchester. I don't know who
yes,
that is.
well, it's considered to be a very nice area. So she was not, she was not one of these Puerto Rican kids that came up the hard way. Sometimes she kind of tries to portray herself that way, but she was relatively well off, all of her, and she went to Boston College. I mean, she did quite well. I mean, she came from relatively secure background, and she didn't come from that area originally.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, so she moved in there, and so just like you said, he could have made that an issue. I've been here with you people all these years, where she had not been, but he just didn't do his work, and so that's what happens a lot of times. So anyway, that's any other people that you can think of that are coming up. I'm trying to think.
Well, my last thing I'll say about AOC, the other big thing about it is like her or dislike her. The thing that I find most intriguing, similar thing with Biden, is they're Catholic. And I think that that's also good to have as in a president too. Obviously, because that's my religion. I don't think that the religion needs to be a part of the politics, but it's a morality that I can understand, a moral structure I can understand. And so I do have a like modicum more trust in that person because of the upbringing. You know what I mean? Of a religious upbringing like that.
Well, I think that might be, but I think that basically, I don't think Biden has seen the inside of a church in many a year. I think he's pro-abortion. I think that, the thing with Biden was it's very similar to Newsom. He actually he really he was a guy. He had absolutely no credentials, and he in Delaware, he got in at a very early stage. Once he got in, I mean, he had a number of little controversies like plagiarism and cheating and that type of thing, but he got over that. And after he was there for a number of years, his seat was relatively secure. But he succeeded because he was known as a dummy. That was basically his background. He's a dummy, and no, and to be equally offensive to both parties, George Bush, the shrub, not the old man, but shrub, he was also considered to be a dummy. And the playbook for him was he's the kind of guy you like to have a beer with.
Yeah,
That,
exactly.
and that was the thing that was the thing with Joe. Joe was a dummy, and Joe kind of appealed at one time to lower class people, white redneck type people that could relate to him because and Obama made fun of him, because he said Joe's kind of dumb and ha ha ha, and it was the same thing like with Newsom. So, but he and I'm kind of now there's no doubt about it that Obama was an extremely he had no experience either, but he was an extremely eloquent, and he had a style about him. There's no doubt about that. You say anything you want about him. He had no experience. If you take a look back, he had absolutely no experience. He came in off the state and got elected to the Senate, and it was only a couple of years after he was in the Senate. I don't think he didn't even complete the full term, and he became the president. So he had very little experience actually, but he saw Joe as being a guy that could get the white vote for him, which is basically what Joe did. And so, and he always appealed to kind of like the working class, not the working stiff, the guy that's not real bright, but he appealed to that guy. And so Obama had it both ways. He had he kind of had the people that were the beautiful people, the people that came out of Los Angeles, the people in New York, the people that just thought they were super sophisticated. Obama had those people, and then at the other end of the spectrum, Biden had them.
Right.
And so, but
Well, and also Obama had uh, incredible poise.
yes,
Is a fantastic speaker.
yes,
He came from again, like even obviously Chicago is a representative of everywhere always, but he came from Chicago, and that meant something to a lot of people. Having someone from somewhere that's not just this president's from Manhattan. Oh, this president's from Boston. Oh, this what I mean. They all kind of come from like clustered areas, minus the Bushes and the Clintons, but they travel in those packs too. I think people were tired of Hampton's presidents at a time, and so it's cool to have someone to represent a city that was like, even though there is really expensive places to live in Chicago, people don't think of the city that way. And so I think that helped his image. And I think the other thing that people forget is he was like physically fit and able to play sports. That was a huge deal. Like, having a president go and throw a first pitch and he can stand on the mound and make it over the plate is a pretty big deal. I mean, even when co-owner of the Rangers, Bush or Shrub, throws the first pitch, he can't do that. And it's not like he was particularly unathletic. It's just Obama was like 43 or something, 42 or 43 when he became the president. I mean, he was still, getting vertical on his basketball shot when he went into office. You know what I mean? Like
Well, and of course they don't point this out too much. But here's the reason I voted for Obama. I had to confess this. Twice I did. Bad enough I made the mistake once, but twice. But but the guy, you might have noticed, he had dark skin, but he also had a white background. And so he was not Barack Obama when he grew up. He was Barry Obama. And Barry Obama was a guy that grew up in Hawaii. And so he was with a bunch of Asian kids. So that was basically, and so when he came into the mainland, that's when he met Michelle, and she was the one that actually gave him what they call the bona fides of Chicago, because before that, yeah, and so her father.
You can't take her Chicago-ness away from her.
Oh, no,
She is Chicago, Chicago.
Oh yeah. And she's not. And she, in many respects, with her, she kind of clawed her way up to the top in many respects. Her father was a minister on the south side of Chicago, and she got to some very fine schools, and she ended up being a vice president at the University of Chicago hospital, I believe. So, and she also worked at a pretty prestigious law firm, and in fact, she drug Obama in after her.
They
So,
seem firm, right? They work
yes,
together.
yes,
Right? Yeah.
that's right. So, yeah, but she does not have the likability. Still doesn't have the
No.
likability. She's a lot. She's crass, pretty crass,
Yeah.
and she has this poor me attitude. And says it wasn't good enough for her to be the first lady. She thinks she's still being says somebody's still being prejudiced against her for whatever reason. I can't figure that out, but that's a take. She's on the show with her brother. She's got a podcast. It's not doing as well as the Scully Sez podcast, but it's kind of plugging along as best as it can. And her big thing is beating up on this guy by the name of Barack. Oh yeah,
He's doing the Jada Pinkett Smith route.
That's right. Yeah, he doesn't do
Right,
this. He doesn't do that, Jake. Everybody's saying, well, they're probably on rocky ground, but I don't see that either one of them is going to split to go the separate ways. But I don't think that they're, it's like a happy little love nest either. But be that as it may, you got to give her a due. She did come up. She came up the hard way, and she did it. And the thing with Obama, I thought his presidency was pretty weak, which I suppose is why Trump beat him. People kind of forget about that, but basically, I always thought that he was a guy that walked around with a "kick me" sign on his back, and I think that a lot of the countries, they liked him. They liked him, and they liked him because they felt they could walk all over him, and which in fact they did. Yeah, that's why they like him. Everybody loves a doormat. But a well-spoken doormat, you see, and a very, very eloquent doormat, but nonetheless a doormat. And then, of course, Trump being Trump, he aggravated enough people that Biden somehow got in. And so that's history. And so
I think it was. I still think looking back, it's absolutely, and also it's totally like a idiocy moment on the people who got Biden the second time, because all that happened was prolonging. If you hated the Trump presidency, which, like, I'll be honest, at this point, I don't hate it, but I don't think it's great. I'm not loving the conflicts that we're still like funding, and I'm not loving the I guess lack of certain elements of progress that I think we could have made during that stuff. Like, I mean, Elon was building tunnels in the ground that was supposed to be a hyperloop system, and the one in Vegas is still barely fucking working. And the guy was in government and given every single chance to figure that out, and we don't have any rapid transit plans or anything. They're all at state level.
Oh, sure.
I think that's bad.
Oh, sir, no, I must disagree with you on this one. Our friend Elon, me and Elon are pretty close, but Elon, you see, he's opening up a little bit of something. It just came in the Wall Street Journal today. It's a little project. I think it's about $200 billion project, and it has to do with what we call tunnels.
Oh, so okay, that's
Oh
cool
yeah, yeah.
information. Because I've been getting mad because I remember when he dug the first tunnel. Actually, to be honest with you, I was definitely still in high school. I was probably a junior in high school. So
Yeah.
this is 2012, 2013.
Yeah.
And he was our material science professor was like, you guys ever heard of the boron? Like, actually, by the way, just like this, he was a total like stoner type guy.
Yeah.
But he was like, you guys ever heard of Elon Musk's company? Actually, I don't think he used my name, but he said the guy who created Tesla's company called the Boring Company. And we're like, oh, sounds boring. He's like, no,
Boring.
dude, they use a diamond tipped freaking massive drill and they're drilling this whole, he shows us all these videos of it all, whatever. And I remember learning about that and I was like, man, can we get something popping with that? I mean, the guy is your homie. And this is now a year 6 as his president. Like, let's get something popping, man.
Well, here we go. Now I've had to pull out the Wall Street Journal because of what you said, sir. And the headline on says Musk's Boring Company eyes $20 billion market valuation. Yes, and it says the company is in talks to raise around $4 billion. The funding round hasn't closed, and the people cautioned that the terms could change. And so they talk about Steve Davis, president of the Boeing Company, didn't respond. But what it is I think they're in Dubai. They're in Dubai for one of the places. But they said investors who backed Musk's $44 billion takeover Twitter had been underwater for some months following that. So when he took over Twitter, it was losing money, and eventually made money after the billionaire entrepreneur rolled the struggling social media company into his artificial intelligence, AI, and later folded that into SpaceX. So valuations of Musk's public companies, Tesla and SpaceX, have tumbled in recent days. However, he's still the first trillionaire, I suppose. And it says
he just dropped back off being a trillionaire. He made a tweet about it yesterday.
No,
I know.
the poor
I'm
guy.
gonna donate to him tomorrow.
Yes, that's right. In fact, right when we said that, Mr. Pierogi put his hand into his pocket. He's looking for some loose change to throw Elon's way. And so anyway, they said that Elon's rocket company went public in June to a record-setting IPO that raised $86 billion from Wall Street.
Yep.
So
insane.
Yeah. So anyway, it says this new project creates an underground loop in Dubai. The company said that the first formula phase would cost $154 million and take a year to complete, and the second phase would take a route of 14 miles, expected to take 3 years and cost $550 million. So
They better get that done, because the thing is what's happening is, for me, and this is totally just a me and a first world problem, but these things radiate outwards. Like, I have a Tesla. We have a supercharger network that my car pays for. My car is shittier because it's paying for the R&D on those systems. I paid $48,800 for my Model 3. It's a great car. It's wonderful. It's worth other things at that price point, kind of. But I mean, $48,000 was, a BMW M3 like 12 years ago. So that is a crazy amount of money, it would seem, for a car that has panel gaps, has, I can hear the wind because one of my doors is misaligned. Like, sometimes the window doesn't work and I got to reset.
Oh, that's the wind. That's the wind beneath your wings, sir. That's what you're hearing.
Anyways, I digress. It's not to say that the cars are bad, because the cars are wonderful, wonderful cars. But I pay for that, and I pay a premium for that car because self-drives, and I'm supporting part of the self-driving network, and because of my supercharger infrastructure. Well, now that I've got my Tesla, and I'm not even late to the punch. I got one in 24. That's like pretty. Where electric cars are just now really becoming what they are with the infrastructure. Every other time I go to a charger, there's a Chevy parked, in 2 spots because their charger's not in the right place. They got a charger from the backside over the front. There's a Cadillac charging over here. There's a Hyundai charging over here. Now, and I could be wrong. I'm sure these automakers maybe pay for access to it. They are not paying to do this, to upgrade this infrastructure. I am. But they're there, sitting there while I'm trying to use said infrastructure that I pay a premium for it to even exist, right? My problem is these boring company things, like stuff like this, it's taking so long. The roadmap is so long, and there's no exclusivity for the people who are investing. So, like, why would I buy a Tesla for my next electric car? Why wouldn't I just go get a Porsche Taycan or something like that? They're nicer cars. They're about the same quickness. They're not the best electric cars. I think Teslas are still the best, but they're right there. Why would I continue to support him in the way that I can support him if I'm not getting anything on the back end? I can't go to Vegas and go in the Tesla only tunnel. It goes 1.7 miles. So you're telling me it takes 3 years? Get the Vegas loop done then. What are we talking about? And make it Teslas only. Give us some incentive to keep buying your stuff. No one's going to buy American if Hyundai can come over here, use the same infrastructure, the same tunnels, the same whatever. It makes no sense. So, like, if we need every dollar that we can get from every possible person using it, that's great. But, like, I need to see that in some way, because I actually tried to invest in this guy that I thought was making the country better, and I'm getting the same deal as a guy who bought a Cadillac for the people who made the country worse the entire time they've been here. I mean, that company is useless. GM is the worst. Honestly, I hate GM so much. The only reason they exist is because people have lives and have jobs supported by, their lives are supported by those jobs, and it would have been a catastrophe in 2008, and again in, I think, 2016 or whatever. It would have been a catastrophe had they allowed that company to fold like it rightfully should have. But I mean, I'm just tired of this, like, weird, like, half capitalism stuff like that. It's like, if I want the tunnels built, so I voted with my dollar. Other people aren't voting with their dollar. The tunnels are taking a million years. When they open, everyone's going to be able to use them. Great, whatever. What is going on here? Like, there needs to be some sort of I think he just bites off more than he can chew. I mean, now we're in Dubai, building a one in Dubai. Get the one in fucking Vegas working, please. You drilled it 10 years ago. You know what I mean? Like, so that's where my frustration with him is coming. But I'm sure, by the way, kind of looping back to our original topic, I'm sure he's also going to be a person who's going to try and run. I'm sure he would try and run. I can't imagine he won't if it's just Rubio and who's the other Republican one? Rubio and
Vance.
Vance, yeah. If it's just Rubio and Vance, you'd think he'd try.
Really?
I would think. I mean, I feel like he could beat Vance.
Well, but yeah, it's very. Well, he's an interesting.
Maybe not.
He's an interesting.
No, he can't.
Guy.
He can't run. He can't run. He's from South Africa.
That's right. But all these guys are interesting, and they, for my money, Musk is the most interesting. But all these guys,
I agree.
They all have a lot of quirks. I mean, you talk about Steve Jobs. People hated him.
Yes.
You have our friend over there at Microsoft, Bill Gates.
He geneticist.
He has a couple kinky little things about him.
Yeah, he's a weirdo.
A little bit of that stuff going on.
You know who I like that's in this realm is Palmer Luckey. So Palmer Luckey is the CEO of Anduril. Anduril's a defense contractor.
Okay.
And he, similar to Elon, sees himself as the comic book genius,
Okay, yeah.
He uses it in his business is far more sinister than Elon's, because it's literally like, weapons. Like it's Cerakote ceramics, and it's missiles, and it's nuclear stuff. You know what I mean? It's a lot of bad stuff. Drones, a lot of that. But also one of his big things is he wants soldiers to not die anymore, which is pretty chill on by my estimation. So it's a lot of these like helmets that have like full goggle systems over them, and so you're basically in a trailer somewhere and you're flying the drone. They kind of have it now, but that type of stuff, he's really cool because he seems to want to do everything, but he knows where his limitations are. Elon, I think, sometimes doesn't realize where his limitations are.
Yes. Well, you just mentioned something which I thought was kind of interesting. You see, if you have soldiers and nobody in the military is going to get killed, then of course, what do? You kill all the civilians. Now, if you don't have the military people getting killed and you don't have the civilians getting killed, then how can you win war?
Well, this is why you gotta pay attention when the Star Wars movies are on because they explain this, okay? So
Mhm.
that I don't know if it's gonna happen the same way the Star Wars movie, but they have, the wars are essentially as close to no loss as possible because they have specifically designed fighting forces, which are droids or
Yes.
their clones, which obviously that one's not gonna happen, but the droids one kind of makes some sense. Later they go to conscription. That's like if you watch the real good movies, the ones from like the 70s, those ones have conscripted military forces, but previous to that they had droids. And that's
Mhm.
probably what the idea is to have, basically just have it be throwing money and expensive things at each other with operators. But I mean there would still be loss, so there'd be attacks on bases, you know what I mean? You'd have attacks on transports. You'd have a lot of naval, attacks. So you'd still be casualty. I think the idea is it's a bit archaic to have a fighter jet pilot die when he could be sitting at, base flying it with a joystick. You know what I mean? It's a bit silly to make him have to do that, like risk his life when he could theoretically, not and fly
So
something
what we
just
could
escape.
do is we could get all these guys in the basement, don't you see, with the little
I
with the little
guess.
joysticks, you see, and they what they could all yell out, "I win, I
Well,
win."
you know what controls a drone, right? Microsoft
Yes,
has a contract for it. It's literally
yes,
an Xbox
yes,
controller.
yes.
This is the
That
same
is
thing.
no, that's correct, sir.
And
And of
there's a
course,
reason for it. It's I mean, the military put immense investment into the Call of Duty games, the Call of Duty franchise. I'm sure Battlefield as well. This was a choice. I mean, people knew that warfare was going to get to this ultimate proxy war level where we're barely even fighting with each other and we're kind of just like digitally fighting and just lobbing expensive things at each other. I think that that's why they got people on gaming so hard like that, and why military games are the best selling games, generally because that's what they want. I mean, you'd want that as a government. You want, like, we don't have conscription and we don't have mandatory military service. So how do you get people like to potentially be interested in, fighting? There's going to be people who are, but then you got to get some other people, and that's the great ad.
all right. Well, coming back to where we were in the beginning, the candidates, and of course we got Mr. Mondami there too.
You think
So
I don't think he'll run in 28 though.
no, I don't think. Well, I think
Actually, I don't know if he can. He's not from America either, right?
no, it's not. It's Uganda, I think,
Yeah.
certainly. But anyway, the thing, these guys, Mandami too, and I think it's going to come home to roost. And I think the same thing with the guy, Brandon in Chicago. And this kind of gets us back to the qualifications. These guys have no qualifications, so they've never run a company. They've never dealt with budgets. They've never dealt with raising money, dealing with people on a large scale. They've never done that, and so as a result, uh, you've got this guy in Chicago. He's got, I think, about 6% approval rating. You got Mandami. Stuff is starting to fall apart now. No free transportation to anybody. The stores are not coming through. The stuff is not happening. Uh, and then he's kind of making a fool out of himself, saying he's going to arrest Netanyahu. And of course, the guy is a mayor. He kind of thinks he's the governor, the president, or something. He's the mayor of New York City, but he's going to he's going to consider Netanyahu to be an international war criminal, and he's going to arrest him. But he doesn't know what he's doing, so he
Yeah,
got
and that's one of those things because again, I mean, there's no love lost between me and the big Yahoo. I mean, I don't like that guy, and I think that he definitely, I do think he probably is a war criminal. I think that's fair at this point, but at the same time, you're the mayor of New York City, man. Like the reason people voted for you was because when they were going down the list and they were
Yes,
asking people, oh, are you
yes.
going to go to Israel as soon as you become? You were like, hell no, I'm the mayor of New York. All right then. So like, all right then. So that's what got you the mayor the mayor candidacy, right? So like just be the mayor of New York. Like why are you talking about Benjamin Netanyahu? You know what I mean? Like why just do your job, like make your city better. And I mean honestly from everyone I've heard it's not been good stuff. It's
No,
I
no,
haven't heard good stuff. I mean, I don't think he's necessarily the bane of all evil per se, but I mean,
no.
it's not been what he promised.
But of course, you got the two greatest cities in the country. You've got New York City and you got Los Angeles, and both of them have gone in the crapper. But there's
You could throw Chicago right in there too, but you could throw
yes,
Houston. Throw Houston right in there too. Houston has the exact same problem that both of those cities have.
yes, and so it seems as though the people that have caused the problems, they have no they have no problem. They're going to be reelected. There's no
Oh
problem.
yeah, they're gonna be fine.
But I want to be a little bit even-handed, which is difficult for me. But you talking about candidates, Susan Collins, she might be in trouble. This guy, he's an old politician. He's taken over for this Nazi character, but he's an old-time politician, and he's been around for a long time. He started as a Republican, started and then went to being an independent, and now he's pretty much a progressive. Uh, but Susan Collins, I believe it was in 1996 or 1998. You know what her campaign pledge was?
What was that
She would only run for 2 terms.
in '98? Like 2
98.
years after I was born?
Her campaign. She is now running, I think, for the fifth or sixth time.
Yeah, almost 30 consecutive years.
Yes, 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 and and I always liked her. I always thought that she was very much even of the road. But I saw an interview the other day, and it does seem as though the years are kind of getting to her. So I know something about that. I know something about these old age, you see, and yes, and different people. And then there's something else. I don't know this is on Truth Media or what the hell it was, but there was something that came up that Trump says he's going to run for this. He's going. He, I
Yeah,
can't.
he said it at the whatever the
Yeah,
gala was last
yeah,
night.
yeah.
I'm like, dude, come on! Like you can't say
No, no.
stuff. Like, come on.
Yeah. Well, no, yeah. Stuff.
Did you hear Obama's threat to him though?
No.
Obama said, "If you vote another, or if you run another one, then I'm gonna run another one." So
Yeah. Well, I don't think either one. I don't think
I
either
don't
one.
think either one of them would win. To be honest with you, in today's climate,
Yeah,
I think people want someone who's not charged.
Yeah, no, the problem is I think that people are they don't know who they're voting. It's kind of like it's a popularity contest, really. And so somebody comes out and they say these outrageous things, I mean, it'd be like J-Lo running. I mean, she could get elected. I mean, it's got
She would definitely get elected.
yeah, no, she could come in and say that she was a hard-bitten Puerto Rican from New York City, and it's quite possible. It just is.
She's Jenny from the block.
That's right. Yeah, it's great. Yes. So anyway, so I think we have we covered that area. Is there anybody that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a little early. Obviously, we'll see how it goes. I think that ideally Trump shuts up about running a third time or running a fourth time, but trying to win a third term and just lets it go. I mean, the best thing he could do for Vance is to start to let Vance talk more and be more of a outward part of this presidency, so that if there is anything that people or there is stuff that people like about it, that it can stick to him. Everyone knows it's easier to get an incumbent in. I mean, Biden got in off of Obama's goodwill. That's what it was.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like 100%. And I think people liked him too because he wasn't Trump as well, big time. But I mean, I think that it's simple, and I think that another thing I don't mean to make AOC out to be a super candidate, but I think that they're going to shy away from running her because of how bad Kamala did. But I I do think that it's a misplay. I think that we'll see a Republican president in 2028 unless they really put money behind AOC, because she's the person who's going to get the the moderate. I think if like she herself is not moderate, but I think that she would have the potential to get moderate people because she's a good speaker and she is, for better or for worse, relatable, which I agree. The bartender thing is obviously not great. You'd love someone who's a lawyer for a little bit longer and studied law, but also 8 years as a rep is not nothing. So I'll give her, something there, but
Yes.
yeah,
Well,
I think that they're going to mess up
what
not
they
running
said
her.
about this, and I think this is true, they said the same thing about Bernie. He's really never gotten any real meaningful legislation through.
Yeah.
That's not what he does. He is a spokesman. He is a promoter, and he can talk things up, and that's what Ocasio does. She relates to people, and she's kind of she's kind of like a cheerleader, and and that's a strong suit. You get a guy like Schumer, who Schumer has the background, but he's not very exciting and not all that likable. And she is. She is likable. She doesn't have his background, is not as smart as he is, doesn't have the credentials,
But she's likable.
but she's
She's
likable.
she's very similar, like that
Relatable.
in that George Bush category. Like, oh
Yes.
yeah, like I would sit and talk with her at a bar. She seems like a fine person. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
and obviously that doesn't make the best presidents. I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and say that. I'm just saying that, like, I think after this Trump presidency, that's what a lot of people are gonna want is someone who they would want to have a beer with again.
Yeah, well, yeah, the problem is this guy has accomplished a lot. But he ruins it by talking. Like for example, I do think that allowing somebody to have somebody like to allow somebody in the Middle East to have a nuclear bomb. I think that's a bad thing. And
I agree.
so I think that was a good thing that he did. Blew it up. But I think he could have stopped it just blowing it up and said, okay, well, we blew it up, and so we're not going to let them do it again. And if they do it again, we're going to blow them up again, and left it at that. But now it seems as though we're in kind of a quagmire. And the problem is we want to win, and they don't really care whether they win or not. They're willing to
Yeah, they don't care. They'll drag it out. Yeah.
they'll drag it out for years. And in Vietnam, that's what happened with Vietnam. People just gave up. They no longer supported it. And after 5 or 6 years, that was the end of it. Yeah, so that's what it is.
Yeah,
So,
and I mean, when you have these ones that just draw out, all it also does is, on the global stage, anyone who is even remotely like chill with Iran, or doesn't think Iran is necessarily the worst or anything like that, it's just building more anti-American hate, which is not good. I mean, it's really, really not good. You don't want. We got to a point where the people in the UK think that, like, this is like some place you can't travel to, and it's so scary, and it's like, just obviously it's total horseshit, but like, it doesn't matter.
well,
It's perception matters.
although when with the soccer thing, that was really great.
It was, yes.
But I'll tell you one thing, I agree with a lot of these conservatives as far as the Muslim community. I have been, and this is years ago. They in England they have taken over whole swaths of London. They've taken over. I'll bet the 30-40% of the population right now.
Absolutely. I mean, the most popular name there for multiple years is Mohammed
Yes,
now.
yes, and England has found out. They found out what their mistake was, but they may shut the door, but it's too late. And the
Yeah,
same
it doesn't
thing.
matter.
Same thing is happening with France. The same thing is happening with France. France has been overtaken by the Muslim population. And it's also happening in Germany right now. Merkel let them in, and now they're taking over Germany, parts of Germany. And so this is a threat. And the same thing is happening in the United States in different parts of the country.
Yep.
This is a very big threat. There's a big threat in, as you well know, it's a big threat in Columbus, Ohio. It's a big threat in Michigan. There are a number of places that you have Sharia law in the United States, and they refuse to assimilate. And in fact, a lot of people cannot go into those areas because they're just not allowed. And
Yep.
so,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, and it sucks because it's like even here, and this is something that would probably get me on hot water saying this around people that I live. But like one of the big things they're talking about is, oh, they're canceling all the Haitian work visas and everything like that. Um, I'm not fully in the Springfield community, so I'm not gonna sit here and act like I know every business and how every business is staffed and all that. And I've heard about some wonderful Haitian restaurants and wonderful whatever. I'm not going into places all the time and talking to a bunch of Haitians at a bunch of these at a bunch of businesses. I'm not driving past a bunch of, and I'm not I don't even want to go this far because I'm not trying to say it like that, but like I'm even I would just say if I saw a random black guy on the force, I'm willing, or on like a construction or doing the landscaping or anything like that. If I saw one of them outside, I would say I would even be willing to chalk that into the thing of like, oh, that's probably a Haitian guy. No, no, I was just in Springfield 50 minutes ago. No, I don't see them working. I don't see them out and about. And I'm not saying that they don't. I'm sure that they do. I'm sure that they do. I'm sure that it's difficult being a refugee, blah, blah, blah. But I don't see them out and about all the time. And I don't know where 300,000 visas is all of a sudden coming from. I hope that's a nationwide number and not just in Ohio or something. But I don't see where 300,000 workers are going to be missed in, a couple days or whatever when that gets canceled. And it's been made to be like one of the big issues that people want to talk about and people want to make this big issue. And I think that that's like a big part of the problem that's going on in America right now. It's like, listen, like I'm a American citizen. I've lived here forever. I plan on living here forever. Frankly, the idea that it occupies like any significant amount of my like news cycle or mind space that like work visas are being canceled because now it's been like a year since the crisis, or been 2.5 or 3 years since the crisis that caused them to move here, and nothing else has changed in their lives where they've gotten like a more permanent visa or anything like that. I'm supposed to be worried about that. That's crazy. And that's like, that is part of the thing that needs to shift, is like, I don't have to care about that. I don't have to be a jerk about it either. There's no reason to be a jerk about it. I could be compassionate, I could be understanding, and I can listen to people about their perspective on it. But I shouldn't have to care about that. It shouldn't be something that we act like is a big American problem. And it is. I mean, it is something that people talk about as an American problem. It is something that people talk about as like something that we in Ohio should like be caring about and should think about, should be doing something. Write your congressman. Why? If I go to Haiti tomorrow and I let my visa expire, is there going to be like an uprising for them to be like, oh no, but we love Patrick in our town. We love having him here. Maybe. And in which case, hey, I'll wipe the egg off my face. But I think probably just like every other country in the civilized world, they would say, oh, you overstayed your visa. It's jail or deportation. Up to you. I don't see why compassion has blurred people's minds to like how that works. But it's toxic and it's bad and it needs to change, because I don't have to care about Muslim problems, especially when they're worried about, or Haitian problems or Muslim problems, when they're not worried about American problems. You know what I mean? And oftentimes not even worried about being Americans in a very real sense, So I do think that stuff needs to change, but hopefully, there's a pendulum swing back.
yes, well, all right. I think we've solved the problem.
I don't know if we solved it, but we definitely exposed it.
Oh, exposed. Yes, yes. Well, it was. Have you come across this guy Gill? Have you ever heard of Gill, the congressman out of Texas?
Mm-mm.
Well, quite. If you look him up, he's a very, very smart guy, young guy, very conservative guy. But he said something that I found to be very, very funny. He
Oh,
said,
Brandon, go.
yeah, Brandon Gill. He said years ago, 150 years ago, the Democratic Party said, well, we need the black people over here, and we've got to bring as many as we can into the country because they got to pick cotton. And he said, and now you're getting, the same type of people saying, we got to bring the people in from Mexico so they can pick guacamole. Yeah, or whatever.
Yeah, they want them picking avocados. Yeah.
And so, all right. So anyway, I guess that's about it. Yeah, I have to tell you that just a second ago, Mimi stuck her head into the sacrosanct space and made some kind of said something to Tony, told Tony that he better watch himself or something like that. And then she left the scene. She fled the scene. She left it clean. All right. On that note, sir, is there anything else you want to tell us?
No, that's all. I just, everyone have a good day. Again, nothing here is too
So you're not
serious.
going. So you're not going to tell us anything about. You can see us on podcast.
Oh no, I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna say that.
You are.
Oh, and also LeBron to the 76ers. So now LeBron's in Philly. Congratulations. He gets to stink up your kind of hometown. We definitely didn't want him in Ohio anyways. This is definitely not like a bad X thing.
I was one of the Michael Jordan type of individual.
Oh, you mean this guy?
Yes, that guy. Air Jordan to me.
No, me too.
I don't like LeBron.
No, I don't like LeBron either. But
Never like
deal with
LeBron.
him now.
They got a guy I like is the Prince.
Steph.
No, I definitely like. I definitely like Steph. He's a cool guy. He's smooth. I was thinking about the Princes. That's Charles Barkley.
Oh, the round of rebound.
He says whatever the hell he feels like, and I kind of like that. Yeah,
I do.
Yeah,
I like him a lot too.
Yeah, Steph is smooth. He's smoother than Charles. So, but I like Charles because he's funny and he says what he thinks. And okay, so you're going to tell us about where they can find us. Where can they find us?
Yeah, so you guys can find us at Facebook, on YouTube, Apple Music, Spotify, in your podcast app. Oh, and TikTok. Don't forget TikTok.
Oh yeah.
You guys can find us anywhere you listen to your podcast. Thank you so much for listening. If you'd like to email us, you can email me at scullysezpat@gmail.com or email Tom at scullyseztom@gmail.com. We appreciate you watching, and we'll see you next week.
There you go.